Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Astotra Sattva Samadhi Divine Grace is confirmed Swami. Srila Bhajana Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Papa Maharaj Jaya Mr. Paramahamsa. Parivrajakacharya Astotra Sattva Samadhi Divine Grace. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Papa Maharaj Jaya. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vinda Jaya. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Jaya. Prem Si Kahao Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadhar Si Vasada Si Gaura Bhakti Si Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Girigadadan Ki Jai Savindavandam Ki Jai Simazuradham Ki Jai Simayapadam Ki Jai Sinavadivdam Ki Jai Si Jagannath Puridam Ki Jai Gangamaya Manamaya Ki Jai Simaditox Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Nitai Gaur. Our glory to the sum of devotees. Our glory to the sum of devotees. Our glory to the sum of devotees. Our glories to Sisi Gaura and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyansa Tato Jaya Mudirai Nasta Prayesu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttaman Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 41. Title of this chapter is Prayers by Queen Kunti. Prayers by Queen Kunti. Ata Vishwa Ata Vishwe Sabhiswatman Vishwa Mute Swakeshume Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandu Suvrishnisu Ata Vishwesha Vishwatman Vishwamute Swakeshume Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi Dridam Pandu Suvrishnisu Atta Vishwesa Vishwatma Vishwamute Swakeshume Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi Dridam Pandu Suvrishnisu. Can someone try?
Ata Vishwesha Vishwatma Vishwamute
Yes.
Ata Vishwesha Vishwatma Vishwamute Swakeshume Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandu Suvrishnishu.
Mataji's. Can you see the board? No? No board? You don't have your digitals there? Mataji's? Yes, yes, of course.
Ata Vishwesha Vishwatma Vishwamute Swakeshume Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandu Suvrishnishu.
So, word for word translation, and translation and purport by His Divine Grace is confirmed Charlie. Sila Abhachan Venda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Papa Maharaj Ki Jai. Sila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We should not feel shy to glorify Srila Prabhupada. He is our founder Acharya, and by his special mercy, this institution, this international organization, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, was established. So we owe a lot of commitment to Prabhupada, and just to glorify him, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, shouldn't be a problem. Ata, therefore, Vishwa Isa, O Lord of the universe, Vishwa Atman, O Soul of the universe, Vishwamute, O Personality of the universal form, Swakeshu, unto my own kinsmen, me, mine, Sneha Passion, tie of affection. Imam, this, Chindi, cut off, Dridam, deep, Pandusu, for the Pandavas, Vrishnishu, for the Vrishnis also. Translation. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vishnus. Please responsibly repeat. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vishnus. Purport: a pure devotee of the Lord is ashamed to ask anything in self-interest from the Lord. Bad householders are sometimes obliged to ask favors from the Lord, being bound by the tie of family affection. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact, and therefore she prayed to the Lord to cut off the affectionate tie from her own kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vishnus. The Pandavas, her own sons, and the Vishnus are the members of the paternal family. Krishna was equally related to both the families. Both the families require the Lord's help because both were dependent devotees of the Lord. Srimati Kunti Devi wished Sri Krishna to remain with her sons, the Pandavas. But by his doing so, her paternal house would be bereft of the benefit. All these partialities troubled the mind of Kunti, and therefore she desired to cut off the affectionate tie. A pure devotee cuts off the limited ties of affection for his family and widens his activities of devotional service for all forgotten souls. A typical example is a band of 6 Goswamis who follow the path of Lord Chaitanya. All of them belong to the most enlightened and cultured rich families of the higher castes. But for the benefit of the mass of population, they left their comfortable homes and became mendicants. To cut off all family affection means to broaden the field of activities. Without doing this, no woman can be qualified as a Brahmin, or a king, or a public leader, or a devotee of the Lord. The personality of Godhead as an ideal king showed this example. Sri Ramachandra cut off the tie of affection for his beloved wife to manifest the qualities of an ideal king. Such personalities as a Brahmana, a devotee, a king, or a public leader must be very broad-minded in discharging their respective duties. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact, and being weak, she prayed to be free from such bondage of family affection. The Lord is addressed as the Lord of the universe, or the Lord of the universe of mind, indicating his all-powerful ability to cut the hard knot of family affection. Therefore, it is sometimes experienced that the Lord, out of his special affinity towards a weak devotee, breaks the family affection by force of circumstances arranged by his all-powerful energy. By doing so, he causes the devotee to become completely dependent on him, and thus clears the path for his going back to God. Come again to me, understand? Again, it's an answer like Saxo, Si Gorbe, Si Chaitanya Manamista, Star Pitam Ginaputa, Swayam, Kodamina, Vedati Swami, Padati. Vancha Kalpatari, Vicha, Kripasan, Vicha, Patitam, Vaishnava, Vandasi Krishna Chaitanya, Vandasi Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodato, Godatai Puskavanto, Chita Chavata. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Si Advaita, Gadara, Silsa, Gaurabhadre. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurava Namaste Sonya So, welcome everyone to this segment of morning program, Bhagavatam class. So this text is very relevant to all of us because we all are coming from different family backgrounds. And because of these family ties, sometimes it's very difficult to make devotional progress. And because we have a lot of ties with our families, sometimes we also get distracted. And also because we have a lot of affection for our families, we have the knot. In fact, affection for family is a knot that ties us to material existence. It's very easy to be, to wake up and chant 108 rounds every day. And every day when people are chanting 108 rounds. Not Purana, a Puranic history. Every now and today, people are chanting 108 rounds. That's not the problem. The problem is, are we free from the ties to material family affinities? And that's very challenging. I saw this, I read about all of these stuffs when I just joined the temple. And the emphasis was that, no, you can be anything. You can pose to be a brahmachari, you can pose to be a sannyasi, you can pose to be anything. But what about your family affection? Do you still have the ties? Yes, so it's a challenge. And for me, I thought, wow, this is a serious issue. So I remember when I was in temple, when I joined as a young devotee in the temple at the age of 26, I didn't have any communication with any family member. My parents were still alive, but I didn't have any communication with any family member because of this part of the philosophy is very scary. I didn't have any connection with any member of my family for how many years? Guess. No communication, no visit. For how many years? Guess. 16 years. 16. And then when I visited my parents with some devotees, to go and distribute books. The idea was to go and distribute books, and we had cartons of books. And so when we went, it was like someone who had died and had come back to life. The whole community, they came together. So, and we just used the opportunity to preach. We distribute all the books that we took along. And some people came later to see me. And then the books were already finished, and they became angry. And he said, where is my own share of the books and all those things? So we say, we're sorry. I mean, we came with a limited cartons of books, and they finished. So, I was scared because I had a serious weakness, especially my uncle, my father's younger brother. When I was growing up, there was this apparent affection. I remember when I was in high school, secondary school, we were living in boarding house. And at that time, he was in teacher's college. And he used to visit me to come to stay with me in the dormitory in my own corner there for the weekend. So there was that type of affection. And he had a lot of influence on my life. And so when I joined the temple, I was terribly afraid of going home, going to visit anybody, because he's the person that my father, I had no problem. He cannot give me orders, instructions. But this guy, whatever he says, I just have to do it. So I thought to myself, okay, I have this weakness of this family affection, so no contact. So for 16 years. And then when I visited, nobody raised any voice, you know. They just say, is it possible that, you try to come every year? I said, no, it's not possible. Yeah, so family affection is very powerful. And I remember also, I got some reports from one of my aunts, one of my father's younger sisters. She was married to a military guy. And at that time I was joined, see, some families, they hire military officers to come and take the devotees away from the temple, their children away from the temple. I mean, it's like what was happening in Russia. They take devotees to psychiatric camps and all these things. Yeah, at that time, people come, family members, they hire military officers, and then they come to, whisk you away from the temple. So we are here. No military guy has come to whisk anybody away. You're lucky. And I remember in my case, my aunt's husband, the military guy, he told us a story because we visited that lady and she couldn't even recognize me because I left 16 years. After 16 years, she couldn't even recognize me, but the husband recognized me. And so the husband told myself and the friend who took me there, he said his wife once told him to get his military guys and bring me out from that Hare Krishna place. So then he asked his wife that, okay, I'll do anything you say, I love you, anything you say I'll do. But you show me one person in your family, just one person in your family who has that boy's brain. Show me one person. If you show me one person in your family who has his brain, I'll bring him out. The woman couldn't respond to that. So he said, all right, just keep quiet. You pray for him. He told him, he's an intelligent boy. He will not choose to do something that is not good for him. So we don't know what he's doing. But because he's an intelligent boy, you just pray for him. So that was how I escaped. Otherwise, I was also a target of military attack to be whisked away from the temple. So people have different challenges. And I remember the case of one of these, was it Nada in one of his past lives? He had, Krishna arranged for a snake to bite his mother, kill her, so that he could become completely attached to him. So we say, this is not fair. But depending on our weakness, Krishna addresses the problem. And so family affection is very tough, and we have to be able to identify that, so that we don't run into difficulties, we don't run into problems in the future. It's very subtle. It's a very subtle thing. But at the same time, we shouldn't just become fanatical and say, well, I'm now trying to be a devotee, damn hell with family members. Because we are preaching mission, and I did that because I identify myself to be very weak, and someone in the family has a great influence on me, and therefore I just cut the ties to be able to solve that problem. And when I met that same guy whom I was afraid of, he was begging that, please, you try to come every year. I said no. At least I had the guts now to say something. So Prabhupada is mentioning here that Kunti herself identified her weakness. This is the point. Kunti identified her weakness. Through what? Self-analysis. She found her situation to be that of, she had love for the family, she had love for her sons, and so she feels that this was a distraction for her devotional service. And now she could be in a situation where she becomes indecisive because of the family affection. Now Krishna is on the side of the Pandavas, but then even that, she's not feeling so happy about it, because the other members of the paternal of a paternal family will be bereft of Krishna. So here, this is the dilemma of family affection. You are in a fix where you don't know which side to take, what decisions to make, and therefore, when we are in devotional service, we should understand that the one thing that could help or distract us from devotional service is the family. And I've seen a number of devotees, they were living full-time brahmacharis. And then they had a lot of affection for their families. They go to their families, they stay with their families, and then, later they decide to leave the ashram. I've seen that. I've seen that in America. I've seen that in other countries too. So wherever we are, we have to understand that too much of affection, too much of attachment for anyone outside of devotional service could be dangerous. Because that attachment creates a bond. And with that bonding, sometimes we may act against our better judgment before we know. And therefore, it is important what Mother Kunti was experiencing. We all could experience that. And the foremost thing to be able to use in preventing those type of dilemma is that we focus on our sadhana. We focus on Krishna. Now, Krishna mentioned that he is the Father, the seed-giving Father of all creation, all creatures. And so if we understand that Krishna is our Father, and at the same time our Mother, so we don't have anything to worry about. Yes, the whole of the universe is just one simple family, one single family, the Krishna family. Some people have forgotten their relationship with Krishna. The devotees have recognized and they are dedicating their lives to Krishna in devotional service. And so that is the beauty of the Pandavas. The Pandavas have Krishna on their side, and Krishna became like, their messenger. Imagine the Supreme Lord being your messenger. Everybody most people seem to be coughing here, right? What is the problem? The cold? Okay.
Varying degrees of cold.
Yeah. You're coughing, you could chew some ginger. It doesn't have a good taste, but it helps with it with the cold. I'm also very much, affected by weather changes. So, and Mother Kunti describes Krishna here as the Lord of the universe, Vishwa Isha. Now, Krishna has, billions and billions of names. And he also has his primary names. Who can tell us one of the primary names of the Lord? Yes? Primary names of Krishna has his primary names. Krishna, God has primary names and secondary names. Yes? Who can help to tell us one of the primary names of Govinda? Gopal. Huh? Gopinath. Huh? Achyut. Madan Mohan. Yeah, he has many, many names. And those names, when chanted, they're very much effective in self-transformation and behavior modification. Just chanting the Hare Krishna mantra every day modifies our behavior. And sometimes people don't want your behavior to be modified. They want it to remain like them. And so you get this challenge of people saying, or sometimes even family members. Family members, yes, affection is there, but sometimes they feel, some of the family members, they feel, why are you in a hurry? You just be with us. Do what we are doing. We're eating garlic, you eat garlic. We're eating onions, you eat onions. Why? Why is this discrimination? It's not discrimination, it's following Vedic injunctions. I mean, it's like someone says, why don't you drive on the right side in India, right? Or someone says, why you are so much attached to, driving on the right side? It's not attachment, it's a simple, it's a road traffic ethics. And so sometimes people want to convince you to do what you're doing, to come down to the level, and they bring indirect approaches and all this stuff. But we should be conscious that what we are doing is very scientific. See, in my airport, just a couple of days before I left for Bengaluru, a lady was chanting in the temple room, elderly lady. And I was going out from the Panchatattva hall, and this lady, I don't know her, she doesn't know me, she just saw me as Swami, and she started talking in Bangla. So I said, Mataji, Bangla, no. And so she went on talking. So I called one devotee to come and say, what is the problem? I know the problem she was facing problem from a grown-up kids, 2 grown-up kids who are working. The father has gone away, perhaps with another woman. And it happens. You think that Ravana is just an historical figure? There are so many Ravanas on the planet, small Ravanas on the planet. People who take away other people's wives. So this lady, I asked that person who can interpret to ask what is the problem. She said her children are threatening to beat her. Why? Because they said she's always chanting. That is a problem. And that's happening here in India. So, devotional service, people are facing a lot of challenges. Family members, they can cause trouble. The affection, that is one problem, but family members could also be confrontational and they threaten you and they give you different, conditions. And at the same time, the devotee is focused on the mercy of Krishna. The devotee is focused on the fact that Krishna is the guaranteed protector of his life, of his devotional kripa. And therefore, we need to be very conscious of the fact that there are subtle and gross challenges in devotional life. Affection to non-devotees, or attachment to non-devotees, or even association with non-devotees. These are issues that we don't really feel the impact immediately, but in due course of time, they can affect us. And they do affect us. Because the environment we operate affects us. Even there is a principle or a theory in the social sciences. It's called the field theory. The field theory stipulates that the environment impacts on our behavior. So, if you are, for instance, used to hanging out in a place, you spend your weekends or you spend your holidays in a place where devotional culture is not being cultivated, that environment generates a particular type of energy. And you stay in that environment, you get affected. You may not know, but in due course of time, your behavior changes. Your attitude, your values are affected. And that is why we don't go to stay in brutals. We don't say, well, I'm so powerful, I'm just going to sleep in the brothel. I preach to all the prostitutes there and change them. Yeah, that's the risk, and it's a dangerous risk. So becoming too much attached to people who are not cultivating Krishna consciousness is like wasting the time. At the same time, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that we should be brought, we should be broad-minded. Broad-minded means that we should use our energies in spreading Krishna consciousness to all and sundry. Because sometimes also we have this conception that, I'm preaching to my family, I'm going to preach to my family, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, I'm out of that book because I never preached to family members. And I had a belief. I had a belief that, all right, family members, they will always think that, I'm their child. They won't listen to me. Okay. So I thought to myself, let me struggle. If I become a pure devotee, they'll be liberated anyway. So let me focus on myself instead of being in anxiety, because I've also seen cases where people fight with their families, they get upset because they try to convince them to follow the path of Bhakti, and they're hesitant, or they just outrightly refuse to align with devotional service or principles of devotion. And therefore, if we understand that everyone in this life is not going to come and sit down in our temple to chant 16 rounds, or to give up onion and garlic, or to follow 4 executive principles. If we have that conception, if we understand that, we don't get upset with people who are not taken to Krishna consciousness, who are not interested in taking to Krishna consciousness, even our family members who are hitherto not ready. But in most cases, I've also seen in most cases that devotees can really change their family to become devotees with patience and desperation. For instance, I had one of my young friends in Delhi, and he told me a story. When he joined, family members were very, very antagonistic. His father is a medical doctor. Family member, they had 2 kids, 2 boys. His older brother had his master's in Berkeley in California. He did his bachelor's degree in information technology in India here. And when he decided to join the temple full-time brahmachari, his brother was very angry, his father was very angry, his mom was very angry. So, but he has this family affection. So it was a problem. But he decided that, anyway, I'll choose a part of Krishna consciousness to help with family members. But then he decided that he would be visiting. So he was visiting and bringing prasadam. The family like prasadam very much. So he would bring prasadam most often. And then later the mother also started chanting. And then he told me the mother now chants 64 rounds on Ekadasis. But he was upset with the mother's spiritual development, because he said, these people, they gave him a hell, and now the mother is more advanced than him. So yeah, there is always some fruitful result when you put your energies in trying to develop people's Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna comes to the rescue and help. At the same time, we should be careful, because if we're not careful enough, and then we don't take proper strategies to be able to help them to leverage their consciousness, we could again go back to them and then start living with the family. And that's how family ties are very, very powerful. So we have to choose to do one thing, that we're in a position, we give association and not take association. And that's the psychological thing. Because if you create that psychological space, you can live even in hell, you can live even in hotel, but to create that psychological space is very challenging. It's a conscious effort. And so yeah, there's nothing, no wrong in having a good time with your family, but don't give association. Don't receive association. Don't take association. You give association. And that conception is a psychological phenomenon. It means you have to maintain a psychological space. Psychological space implies that what could bring you down in your devotional service is right before you, and you are conscious of the fact that you are dealing with a dangerous element or dangerous factor that could be destructive to your devotional life, and you maintain that psychological space, that balance. If you do that, basically, there will be no problem. But it's very difficult to do that because it's a conscious effort you have to practice and enable that to be part of your behavior, part of your life. And if you have that type of understanding and conception, if you develop that type of skill, you can associate with anybody. The whole thing why the scriptures, even the Chaitanya Charitamrita, emphasizes that we should avoid non-devotees is because a number of people don't have that psychological space skill. They accept association. Because when people come together, there is a lot of subtle exchanges of energies when people come together. And so when you get close to people, you get affected. And you start thinking like them in due course of time. So family affection is a powerful weapon to allow us to grow or to bring us down. So Kunti here is praying for Krishna to sever, to cut off her affection for her family. I remember, one lady also in Bengaluru, one of my friend's wife, their daughter is grown up, and she's grown up, time to get married. And so she was telling me, she's having so much of attachment for her family. Now her daughter is due for marriage, and she was thinking she's too attached to the family. I said, no, this is your responsibility. This is not a question of too attached. You are a devotee. Your daughter is grown up. You have to look for a husband for her. So it's called responsibility. It's something that we need to understand, that there is a responsibility and there is something undue attachment. So when we have a responsibility in the family, we shouldn't think that, Krishna, this is what Kunti was praying the other day. I read it and I had it in the class. Cut off your ties from your family, and it's like people will use devotional service as a smoke screen not to be responsible to their families. I'm very busy doing the deity service. I'm very busy doing a book distribution. And you know what? If I water the root of the tree, the whole tree flourishes. Krishna is the root of the tree. And now I serve Krishna. You don't have to worry about me. If I don't come back home till the next day, I'm serving Krishna, and you will be, you will flourish because you're part of the branch. You're part of the you're part of the tree. No, that is using Krishna consciousness as a smoke screen in trying to avoid your responsibilities in the family. If we don't want to be responsible, we shouldn't seek for. We shouldn't seek for a spouse. If we are so much devoted to Krishna, we shouldn't seek for a wife. Otherwise, we should just marry Krishna. Okay? But if we marry somebody, a jiva, we have to be attentive to their needs. We should not use devotional service as an excuse, because everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. And we should work together to be able to see that we are revamping our collective consciousness, and that will impact on the community or on our constituency. So yes, family ties could be dangerous, but we have to utilize whatever we have according to Bhakti Vinod, or whatever that is favorable to Krishna consciousness, we can use it. And a number of family members who were even opposed to their children being devotees, they become devotees themselves, they become initiated. So it depends on the strategy that we use and how we maintain the psychological space in dealing with family members. Any comments or questions? It's a simple talk. I don't think there's any ambiguity. If in the absence of any comments or questions, we'd like to adjourn this. You have a question? Okay.
I have a question that about the last point that you said about the responsibility of family and how about the hiding it in the name of Krishna consciousness and emotional sense. So what is the actual way of taking up the responsibility of the family?
Yeah. The actual way of taking up the responsibility of the family is that, take for instance, you have a wife. If you have a wife, the wife needs financial resources for the family maintenance. But more than all of that is your quality time. More than all of the billions of rupees you can provide for the family, a wife needs your quality time. So you have to give quality time to your wife. You have to give quality time to your children. So you can say, I'm having so many services at the temple. Our Prabhupada mentions that if we have children, our primary responsibility and our primary service to him is to take care of the children. So there's a lot about marriage, a lot about being responsible to your family, to your husband, to your wife, to your children. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky because a number of people didn't study, they don't have any understanding about family development or how the family ties could create a cohesion or disregard or abuse of the family system could cause so much of chaos and this self-destruction. Because everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. We hurt somebody, we have breaking one of the principles because we are saying we are upholding the dignity of ahimsa, non-violence. That's why we don't eat meat. So it's not the person who kills the meat only that is going to incur some sins. The person who facilitates it, the person who transports it, the person who eats it. So it's a whole a bunch of people involved ultimately. So yeah, when we have a family, we have to understand that. It's a big responsibility. We have a spouse, it's a big responsibility. And it means we have to integrate family responsibility with our devotional sadhana and work. So it's like somebody who has 3 jobs. Family maintenance, family care, your job, and your sadhana. None of them is easy. You have to do all of it. That's how it works. And there are books about, grihastha, the rules in grihastha life. I think in Chopati, when I was active on Facebook, I used to have those books, digital literatures. But since I left Facebook, for years, for over a decade, so I don't really have any of those stuff. But there are ways on how we should be coordinating our lives, managing our spiritual lives in a way that we have our works in place and we don't use the work as an excuse of not doing sadhana. Again, it's all coming down to properly or effectively managing our 24 hours. These days, we have so many distractions. We have our digital systems, and the digital gaskets could just take the whole of our time, and then it causes trouble. I know cases of people who fail out of college because of, the internet, because of digital systems. There's nothing wrong in the digital world, digitalization or global digitality, but how we use it, how we use it. It's just like there's nothing wrong in buying a knife. The doctors use the knife for surgery. They treat somebody. The robber uses the knife, to go and kill someone or to go and rob somebody. So our lives are very unique. We should use our lives properly in facilitating a spiritual positive change for sustainable devotional growth. Any other comments or questions? Yes.
I was intrigued to know how you navigate through the academia, considering that the approach that we adopt is one of critical thinking and unlearning all our conditioning. So in that context, faith is also considered to be a limitation or a bias. They use the analogy of Dr. Faustus, let's say, that you can question up to a point, but beyond that you have to take a leap of faith and surrender. And that is what takes exactly at the roots of their liberal values. And, of course, unless you, so how do you navigate through that?
How do you navigate through what?
Academia.
Academia is a big challenge. It's a big challenge. I remember when I was younger, I went to South Africa. I'm to one university. So some devotees had organized some programs in that university. And some of those devotees, they were still studying. They are doing their undergraduate studies. And then they had, in the introduction, they had that I have this number of publications and all these things. So I remember after the presentation, one of these devotees, she's a female devotee, she came to me to ask similar questions. She said, how did you make it? Because she said, even to chant 16 rounds and study is a big problem, and you are having all these publications. How did you make it? So I said, yeah, it's a big challenge because some days it's difficult even to sleep. You won't believe that some days I don't sleep the whole night. Yeah, but the point is that if you are commissioned to do something, you are not the one doing it. Just like Krishna told Arjuna that you go ahead and get the credit. You are complaining about, killing your kinsmen and all these things. Everybody out there is already dead. Everything has been executed. You just go and get the credit. So, in a similar way, because some of us have been commissioned to do particular things, and we should understand that when we are given instruction, that instruction from the spiritual master is also encapsulated with empowerment. So it's not you who is really doing it. Sometimes we tend to think, oh, I developed this project, I am this guy, I'm the boss, I am the GBC, I am the guru, I am so great. Nobody is great. Krishna is the only hero. In Delhi area, we used to joke, "Apne hero hai? Are you a hero?" So yeah, devotional service itself is very challenging. And to integrate devotional service with your professional values, with your academic pursuit, is challenging. If someone tells you it's not challenging, they have not tried it. Those who have treaded on the path of devotion and professional development or academic development, they know it's very challenging. And that's why majority of people, they don't want to do that. They choose only one thing to do. They follow either the path of academics or only the path of devotion. But we have to prepare ourselves to be able to integrate into the bigger community, the greater world. So we tread on the two rails of devotion and academia. And it's all basically about effectively managing your time. Not wasting your time unnecessarily for all, We call it Sangha. I'm having some Sangha with these people or with that person. And people use several hours on the phone for nothing, just talking and laughing. We can use all of that time to do our japa. So the important point is we have limitations. We are circumscribed. And if we understand our limitations, we don't have to waste our time in unnecessary ventures or investing our energies in things that are not directly related to our profession and to our devotional service. So we have to engage in selective engagement, selective investment. We figure out what is useful, what is going to help us, according to Bhakti Vinotako, what is going to help us to grow in our devotional service. We should focus on those things. Anything else that is not going to help us to grow in our devotion, is not going to help us to grow in our profession, we should keep it aside. Not throw it away, we should keep it behind. In that way, we are able to use the limited time we have to access genuine devotion and develop ourselves professionally. And when we have an association with people, we have to figure out what is the quality of this association. Because the type of association we keep impacts on our devotion, impacts on our professional values. I remember when I was doing my PhD, there were all of this. We had about 11 or 12 students in that class, and I tried to associate with them, but they come out, always calling on you on the phone and asking this, asking that. I said, what? So I backed up. So I backed up from the relationship, and that helped me, because when we did the course on quantitative reasoning analysis, that is statistics, PhD level statistics, it was so difficult. All of the rest of the students, they collaborated, and the professor detected. They would have been sent away from the college. They would have been sent away from the university. But the professor, a white professor, he was very, very merciful. He just canceled their works and asked them to repeat the course. I didn't associate with them because I figured out from the beginning that they were always just calling you to chat or to ask for something or something like that. And that's not a relationship. You call me to just ask me for something, you call me to just chat and not something really meaningful. That's not how I think I should waste my time. So I backed up from that association. But then one could say, but they're your colleagues. Why back out? Yeah, because I thought the relationship association is not being useful to me. So even professionally, you are working in the office and people come around, you should be selective in the quality of friends you have even in your profession. Because some people will just come around to kill your time, waste your energy. Yeah. Devotees, we have to be very smart. We have to be super smart. We don't say, well, we want to preach, and so I'm there, I'm available for everybody. You cannot be available for everybody, because some people will just come and waste your time. And Prabhupada wanted us, even in process of book distribution, to be very, to be very smart. And when we talk to somebody, we're giving someone a book, we talk to them. For few minutes, we should be able to detect whether they're interested or not. If they're not interested, there are so many thousands of people out there. We should leave and move on. So yeah, navigating through your profession and your devotion is very challenging. And integrating both is even more challenging, because it's like I used to compare it to integration in calculus. Calculus is very difficult, and when you have to do integration in calculus, even the brilliant students, sometimes they walk out of the class because everything becomes so abstract. And we are doing integration, doing your job, doing your profession, your career, your school with devotion. It's integration. Integration is not being easy. It cannot be easy. It will not be easy. But we have to be courageous. Take advantage of the proper good association, and you'll be able to sail through. Right? Does that help answering your question? All right. So what's the time now? Okay. Are we beyond our time? No?
Okay.
We're supposed to stop at what time? 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? Yes.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I want to Krishna and Guru are our first responsibility, especially for those who are initiated or aspiring initiates. Sometimes in the devotee communities also, in the name of giving time to the family, we disregard our spiritual principles. So, because very correctly you said quality time. So it should not be that at that our primary relationship with Guru and Krishna, that we are cheating in that relationship in the name of giving time to somebody else. And breaking the regular principles or going for all the parties and all that is not as per devotional service.
Yeah.
How to be a responsible disciple.
Yeah, when we are sparing on the part of Bhakti, we should understand that this is the most important service in human society, service to Krishna. And so we have a lot of obligations. And those obligations, when we execute, implement the Sastric injunctions, the spiritual master's instructions, Prabhupada mentions we have to follow a standard. And so those standards should be upheld at all times, whether we are householders, whether we are brahmacharis, whether we are vanaprasas, sciences, gurus, whatever. We have to uphold this standard. We have to encourage people to follow this standard. And if someone is not following the standard, we should encourage them to follow the standard. If they are weak to follow the standard, we should encourage them to follow the standard. If they refuse to follow the standard, what can we do? You can take a cow to the stream. You cannot force it to drink. It would be an abuse, right? Abuse of the cow. We should understand that there's a limit. Even the teacher, there's a limit to what they can do to the students. They can present the stuff. They can present the pages that the students should use to prepare, to revise for the exams. They cannot come and write the exam for the students. They cannot read for the students. So our system is also like that. We have to help people, but we have limitations. We can't force people. We can only propose to people. We can only advise people and enlighten people about the standard required by Prabhupada. And those living in the temple must follow the standard. It is required that people living in the temple must follow the standard. If you're not able to follow the standard, well, you can be coming from home and nobody's going to check you. But even that, Maharaj is watching. Even if nobody checking us, the sun is checking us. The moon in the night, the darkness, the moon is checking us. Bio is checking us. It's glowing all the time. So we can't hide. We can run, but we can't hide. I think Bob Marley said that. You can run, but you can't hide. All right. Any other comments? Does that clear your doubts?
You said those who are staying in the temple, they must follow the standard. Like to broaden it, those who are initiated or aspiring initiation must follow the standard.
Sure. Those who are aspiring for initiation. In fact, if you are not able to follow, don't aspire for initiation.
Taking only 3 rules and
Huh?
well, yesterday you said Prabhupada has not given 3 regulative principles. Prabhupada has given
No. Prabhupada gave 4 regulative principles. Prabhupada gave 4 regulative principles. And that is how, if we were following only 3 regulative principles or 2 regulative principles, perhaps our temples will not contain people. But the 4 regulative principles have to create selective choice. So that the people who are coming, they know that these are the standard. You see, in every organization, in every company, they have grand norms. And in America, I know, if you are joining a particular company, a particular firm, you're given this booklet or the book or the grand norms. In some companies, you cannot talk intimately with a woman on the premises. These are material companies. In some companies, you cannot drink any alcoholic stuff on the premises. In some companies, you cannot smoke on the premises. So, it's not that, Prabhupada has created some injunction. These are rules that have been there for Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis to follow before even Prabhupada established this movement. He only brought them in to help us to grow. Yeah. Any other comments? In the absence of any other comments, we'd like to adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much for participating in this Bhagavatam class. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.